that we spoke about last time. I had asked you, how do you treat a client or potential client that isn't qualified? I don't know if you remember that or not.
I do remember.
But yeah, and it sounds to me like maybe you got an example of that.
Yeah, I did. I definitely do, because I can't help this lady because I don't feel comfortable. I can give her what she needs.
Well, yeah, and you were right up front with her. You told her what she would have to do and what she could expect from you. She didn't want to do that. I mean, you can lead a horse to water. You remember that old saw. And
right,
then when you showed her the other side, of it, and what happens if you go to a full-fledged professional producer, cold, with no previous training or anything, this is what it's going to be. She doesn't want to do that. I think the lady needs a lesson in business, not just in the music business.
Right. And I told her, David, I said, this might not be for you. I said, like, doing this professionally, if you want to go and write a song and record it because it's therapeutic and it's a hobby for you, for you to feel better about yourself, I'm all for that. Right? That's the same people who take pictures. They don't want to make a living at it, but they just like photography.
Right. Sure.
That's called a hobby. That's perfectly okay. When you want to do this professionally, you want people to take you seriously. She's the only client I've ever had that showed up to my sessions. She specifically asked to do my sessions, our sessions at nighttime, which is fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
Every session we've had, she shows up to the session like she doesn't give a shit. She's laying down in the bed. She doesn't care. Like, who does that? There's something that you paid for. Like, who does that? Like, you're showing up, and then you have the audacity to tell me that what I'm teaching you is tedious work. But what you don't understand is that tedious work is what's going to get you to the success.
Exactly. That's it. That's the definition of work. It's sometimes tedious. It's not easy, and it's something you've got to do to achieve a specific goal. I don't care whether it's, becoming a professional music artist, becoming an ice skater, riding horses. You're not going to learn it all up front at your pace without a little bit of effort on your part. John, you had something you wanted to toss in.
Yeah, Durell, that being said, let's go 180 degrees. Give us an example of a client that you have had that has followed your advice to the letter and what kind of success they're having today.
Well, great. So I've worked with one in particular that I work with. His name is, XJ Shaw X, and he's a young man that saw what I was teaching him. And he saw the growth. He saw the fact that when you actually take the principles that I teach and you actually put them into practice, they work. His social media following started to grow. It started to get the interactions he wanted to get. Because, as I tell people, it starts on social media because that's just where it is today. Everything starts, but before we can get to the content, right? So there's artists now are content creators, right? They're no longer recording artists. I don't use the term recording artist. It doesn't exist today. It just doesn't, right? This generation, it's not about recording. This is about content. You have to have content. That's the difference. You're a content creator who happens to have a focus on music. That's the difference, right? So before you can start making content, you first have to know who you are and the problem that you solve for your audience. Who is the person you're talking to? Because once you know these things, now you can create content that's going to actually engage people, that's going to be interested in what you have to say. And once they're engaged, now you take them off of social media and you now build a real unique one-on-one relationship through an email list or text list and stuff you don't have time to get into right now. this is the way it works. Record companies are no longer starting your career, okay? They only come in and finish. They only come in and finish. They don't start anything. You have to get yourself, the thing I said is like, you have to get yourself from 0 to 60. And 0 to 60 is a lot of work and a lot of money.
Exactly.
And if you're not willing to do these things, then this just might not be something you need to pursue professionally. There's nothing wrong with you going on Friday night and having a good time with your friends. There's nothing wrong with that. When you decide you want to do this professionally, understand it's going to take time. Understand you have to actually be willing to get the education, because the problem with the entertainment business in general, it's the only industry that doesn't have regulations. I won't say the only, but one of the few that doesn't have regulations that you need to go in the field and work. You have too many people in our field that think they can come in here because they think they have a little bit of talent. They don't want to get the education, but then they want the success that other people are having. It's just not fair. You should not.
It's not fair, and it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And then when you come to somebody like me, who's very rare to find in this business, and tell me that what I'm doing, she literally told me what I was doing was tedious, and she didn't sign up for this, and she wants results, and she wants me to get her with people that can give her real songs. She doesn't want. I said, okay, well, I can do that, but that's gonna. And I told her that's gonna cost you a lot more money than what you're paying me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, my point was, and that's the harsh reality. She was talking to me like she was smart, but she's talking from a fan's perspective. She's not talking from an industry pro's perspective. What she said was true, but that's stuff that you hear, that you would watch on Behind the Music back in the day and learn about the music. She's not coming from where she has knowledge inside the industry, and it's a difference. I can regurgitate what I hear from somebody, but when you actually have to go inside and have a relationship and know how this stuff works, it's a whole different perspective, because if she knew how the industry worked, then you realize that $12,000, $5,000 a song is about right.
Well, that's what she's paying you for, basically, is to learn the industry, learn what she has to do to make it in the industry, and to do it. And for her to tell you that she doesn't like the way you're teaching her, that's an open invitation to go find somebody else, because I'm obviously not the person you need.
I can't help it.
It's also a way of taking a virtual 2x4 and hitting her over the head with it to get her attention.
She's going to have.
And I'm not advocating violence, please. Not at all. But
that's a case of.
But sometimes you have to take extreme measures in a hopefully vocal fashion to get the point across. If this is what you want to do,
like
this is what you've got to do.
Somebody's out on the ocean in a boat and sees the water is nice and calm. Said, boy, I could swim in that. Sometimes you got to let them jump into the water and find out what it's like, because you don't know what the water's like until you're in it.
Exactly. And what people have to understand too, is don't come into this business making excuses. If this is what you say you want to do, I understand we're in a pandemic. I get that. Okay? But when you ask people to want to go work, and when you ask people that you tell me that you want me to go get you real industry professionals, because you've been scammed and you've been this and that, and you want, okay, I can go do that. But what I'm not going to do is embarrass them and insult them and bring them to somebody who doesn't have the money to even get in the room with them. That's $4,000 a song is the independent artist. That's not what they charge a major label artist or artist that has a backing behind them. Let's triple that cost.
That's the bargain store price.
Exactly. So because we got to understand, what does that $4,000 include? Now we have to make the song, right? We have to make the track, the musical bed, right? Then we have to write the lyrics, because I'll be honest with you, the songs aren't bad, but they're not great. Okay?
Sure.
Then we have to record the song, in between that, we have to, while we write the song, we have to track the vocals, track the song, vocally produce the song. Then we have to mix the song. Then we have to get the song mastered. So that's 5 different elements that go into that one song.
Right.
Right.
It's a big difference from going down to the local karaoke club or open mic night and becoming a celebrity among your locals, and then transferring that to a degree of professionalism and making a career out of it. That's a huge step. It's like going from grade school to college. You got to do the in-between years and get the experience and knowledge that goes into it to get you where you want to go.
Exactly. It's somebody like her, an independent artist. What they should understand is embrace the education, because thank God that you don't have to go and get a traditional music degree anymore. That you have people that are giving courses, traditional courses that are not going to take you 4 years to do. But it's the education is still required. You have to embrace the knowledge and the expertise. And if you're not taking it seriously, how do you ever expect to see anything? Like, I've never had this before. I've never had somebody show up to my session.
I hear you.
Anyway.
That's, as we talked about when you were here before, that's one of the reasons they call it the music business, because it is a business. It's not a hobby. It's not a Friday night special. This is something that, you've got to learn the business as well as your craft. And so many people I have seen myself, and I'm not in the business that you are, but I have seen and talked to so many up-and-comers who don't understand that there's more to it than just plying your trade, writing your music, singing your music, playing your guitar or whatever. You've got to learn the business if you're going to be successful in the business.
Right. And here's the key thing you said there is that you don't even need the industry to be successful in the music business. Because it's 3 different things, right? The music, you have a lot of people chasing the music industry. What does that mean? I'll break that down quickly. The music industry is like saying, based off what your opinion is, you're tell me that I'm good enough. Based off what you think that the standard should be, that I'm good enough based off of your standard. And but what if that standard? What if you do something that the standard doesn't understand what it is that you're doing? What if you do something that's super, super niche based? So of course, the record companies are designed to market from a commercial standpoint, not so much from a niche standpoint. So of course, anything that they can't just throw gasoline on, meaning dollars on, and let it go.
Right.
Of course, they're not going to be able to do that. Right. But where the music business is just commerce, right? Music business is being able to, here's a product, I'm going to sell it, right? I can go to my audience and sell my product. Then you have the business of music, which is intellectual property, understanding copyrights, understanding publishing. And so if you understand the music business, right, and the business of music, you don't need the industry. There's a lot of independent artists right now who aren't, quote unquote, making a name for themselves in the industry, but they're making a living from music.
One other thing that we talked about the last time that you were on that I think fits in here perfectly, one other factor, along with learning the business as well as your own talent and developing it, is building relationships. You don't I get it all the time. I get people send me, here, play my song. Well, wait a minute. I don't know who you are. I have no reason to listen to your song. Get to know the people that you're trying to approach and let them get to know you. Establish a relationship. And we have established about all the relationship that we've got time for this time. But Durell, you will come back again, I hope.
I definitely will, guys. Anytime you guys want me, I'm always available. I'm always there.
Absolutely. We've got about 30 seconds. I always give my guests a chance to sell themselves. Tell the folks how they can get in touch with you, how to find out about your services and whether or not it might work for them.
Okay, great. Well, you guys can find me on all social media platforms. It's at Durell Peart. That's DURELLPEART on all social platforms. My website is DurellPeart.com. And you can actually see me directly, right? If you're interested in wanting to talk to me directly, outside of this social media platform, you can go to textdurell.com. That's